Hey everyone, this is Chris Benton with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great show for you. We got Andrew Beam coming on. He's doing some great things out in the music world, and he's even going to perform a song for us later in the show. But we're excited to kind of talk a little bit about his story and see where he comes. And this is our second to last CRS interview. We got one more later at 2 p.m. Eastern time coming, or yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern time coming that we got Hillary Reese coming on, and she's going to be doing some great things too. But for the meantime, we got Andrew Beam in front of us, and we're excited to have him on. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. And it's certainly been a long week, but it's good to be here and talking to you.
Yeah, talk about long week. You're our 15th interview for the week.
Right. There you go.
So as we get started here, I like to start out the same way because we're in a rough time right now for entertainment. How has COVID affected you, and what have you done to kind of maneuver through this crazy new maze?
It's definitely a pause button. I think is probably the best analogy. We were rocking and rolling this time last year, and we really had the summer booked out with a bunch of festivals and headlining some big events with the band. I play music full time. That's my only income, like a lot of people. And even though we're relatively a new face in the country music scene, but March 16th, that all came tumbling down. That was kind of the day the music died, in my opinion. Got a phone call after phone call. So I didn't think it would have lasted this long, and we're going up on a year now. But really just trying to stay positive. And I'm very fortunate that a couple of my sponsors let me pick up some work around there. And our fans, our fans are really, and our fans are like family. And I always say everybody's family at Beam Country. But they've really kind of carried us through this whole thing, whether it's backyard shows or just there's so much support, and I can't thank them enough for it. But really, it's just mentally and physically staying in shape, staying sharp, and getting back in the finding some influence as far as writing goes. And a lot of people at the start of this thing are like, man, you're going to have tons to write about, but kind of an odd in the sense that I got to be on the other side of things before I can put it on paper. But here in the last couple of weeks, I don't know if there's just a change in the tide a little bit or what, but my inspiration's kind of going through the roof. So.
And like for our show, talking about COVID, we launched the show January 2020, so a couple months before COVID started.
Awesome.
And we had this plan, 100 interviews first year. We thought we both thought that that would be kind of pushing it, 100, because that's a lot of interviews first year,
right.
Especially from coming from really not doing much like this. And we've done interviews in the past, but none formatted like this and all that. So we thought 100 interviews, great. Then COVID happens, and I told Sandy, this is our time to shine, because while the entertainment world is slowing down, a lot of people who normally wouldn't do a show like ours, a brand new show, might be willing to now because they have to talk.
Right.
They don't have and because of that, I was like, okay, we're going to step it up and we're going to give them that platform to talk. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year.
That's awesome. Well, and it's kind of funny how that works. It's kind of feast or famine, regardless of what line of work you're in. And a lot of my buddies, and thankfully a lot of our sponsors, had their best years ever. And somebody be talking about, man, I had such a great year, and then they're looking at me and they're going, oh man, I'm sorry. And I said, no, I want everybody to have a great year. My choice to do music full time, but it's definitely, the financial cost really hurts. I think the opportunity cost is what stings even worse than that. But it's everybody, and but that's awesome though. I love hearing success stories through COVID, because it's been an odd time for everybody for sure. So, but I'm just glad to be here. So I'm glad it linked us.
Now, what's crazy is, as financially we had a rough year, but opportunity-wise, we had a great year because of the show. So, because, of course, last year you could forget even trying to get sponsors as a brand new show. That just wasn't going to happen with COVID and all that. So we didn't even try. Now, later this year, we're going to try to finally get some sponsors soon. Sure. But again, it's one of them things where we had to build that base, and we worked at it. And we've been working very hard. And this week, like I said, your 15th interview later on today, we have our 16th interview of the week. We've never done 16 interviews in a week. And not saying it's been easy this week, because it's not, trying to keep up with, okay, who's who and what's what. And, so all these emails going back and forth. And I'm trying to keep all the emails, the thing. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, I've been doing music now for going on 2.5 years. It was a year and 10 months when COVID hit, but a lot of people ask me how do you make it. I would argue that opportunity cost or opportunity is worth way more than finances. As long as you can survive doing it, because it takes one shot. You know, you get one timing that works out, and then the rest of it's
and you're talking about timing. That's the crazy part is, I told Sandy that, 5-6 years down the road, when we are the size of a Bobby Bones show, a
right.
Ty Bentley, a Kelly Clarkson show on TV, if we get to those levels, we will kind of owe COVID that, because COVID built our foundation.
Right. Well, hey, staying positive in any way is definitely the way to go, and that's great. I love hearing stories like that.
So when, a lot of hosts would ask, when did you know you want to do music? But I like to go deeper than that. When did it click that this could actually be a career for you?
So that clicked. I think enough people in the low country of South Carolina. So I was a game warden with the state of South Carolina, DNR, and they put me in Charleston, South Carolina. And I've always played music. And so it's kind of, I'm glad you asked that question instead, because it's always been there. I just never paid it any attention, I guess. But enough coworkers and enough people that I was pulling over and working with just said, man, you're that guy that plays real country. And nobody's playing that nowadays. You should probably do this for a living. And I think enough people just said it, and it clicked. I remember, I don't know. I think if there was one time that in my mind I could go back and look at it, was kind of like one of the aha moments before the decision I made to leave my job. I was at a Cody Jinks concert, and this is probably would have been 2016 or 17. I just remember, and I'm never the guy if there's live music somewhere. I mean, that's their show. I'm never the guy. You got to get there on stage and play. Like, no, I love listening because true professionals appreciate true professionals. But I remember sitting at that show, and I looked at my girlfriend, and I said, I could do this for a living. And she looked at me at the time like I had lost my mind. And Paul Coffin opened for Cody Jinks at that concert. And I think from that point on, I remember laying awake at night and I'll be able to sleep and just going, if I do this, there's no way it's going to fail. I got to do this. And everything just kind of, call it divine intervention, but everything kind of fell into place. And some work stuff happened. Enough cards fell on the table. And but that's probably when it clicked. There was enough people said it. So.
And that's a perfect leadway into where I want this to go now, because as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory of a Blake Shelton, of a Carey, of a Miranda, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes, not just to get to their levels, but to even a career level within music. And I want to, nobody really talks, everybody glosses over this. And I've always said on our show, I want to make sure that we talk about this because it's so important. Now, I'm going to tell a quick story to help guide us where I want this to go. But back in 2014, we interviewed Allison Steele from Two Still Girls. And at that time, they were full-time with music. And I remember asking Allison what advice she'd given up-and-coming artists. And I'll never forget her answer. She said, if you can see yourself doing anything else, go do that and just keep this as a hobby. She goes, because the moment you want it to be a career, everything has to change. She goes, you no longer own your own life. Everybody kind of owns a piece of it here and there. She goes, your friends and relatives never understand it. They invite you to weddings, to cookouts, to weekends, to holidays. But when you're in that big grind mode, especially at the beginning of your career, you're grinding this thing out. You have to say no to almost everything so that you can say yes to everything that's music related. And people don't understand that a lot of times because, they have a 9-to-5 type and you're here 24/7. And there is no 9-to-5 when there is no cutting music off, so to speak. Then on top of that, your family has a sacrifice. They have to give you up to the world and share you with the world, so to speak. But then she added, but if you cannot see yourself doing anything else, then go all in. Because that's the only way that those kind of sacrifices could ever be worth it. What do you think of what she said? And let's talk about that.
I mean, I agree with her 100%. There's definitely a big difference in somebody that does it as a hobby versus somebody that wants to do it. And I can definitely relate with not being able to make a bunch of functions. And I'm 29 years old. I think all my friends and all my girlfriend's friends are getting married. And it seems like a wedding every weekend. And I stay probably in the doghouse more than not as far as that's concerned. But at the end of the day, you got to make a living. And I really think, and my path's a little bit different. I think coming from law enforcement, my mindset's a little bit more extreme than most. Yeah. If I put my mind to something, it's going to happen. Or if it doesn't, it's because I've exhausted every single possible, or, anything any ounce of energy that I had trying to get there. So, and I think that I was very fortunate working for the state because we didn't make a whole lot of money. And on top of that, my last job, I only got 1 weekend off a month.
Oh, wow.
I was already working weekends, but if you break it down like that, then as soon as I quit my job, I had all this free time to go and do during the week. I mean, if I wanted to go, and I would just basically all the time I kind of lost when I went into law enforcement, not being able to see friends all over the place. I just kind of routed that into shows. So I got to reconnect with a lot of different buddies, whether it's in the mountains of North Carolina, where I'm originally from, or the upstate or wherever. So, and we're kind of doing it differently as well. But I mean, I agree with her on that. It's, it's a grind, but I think it's also going back to what you said initially. There's a lot of people get caught up in the fame or that guy on stage, and that is not all. I want the fans.
Yeah.
It's not about that. And then you go into somewhere where nobody has any idea who Andrew Beam is. I just need one person. I need one person that I've got the attention of, and I will play the strings off that guitar to that one person. And I think, but there's a lot to be said in that because as shows get bigger and you start having rocking shows and you're used to that, this is obviously before COVID happened. You're used to that. Then you have a show, you go somewhere, and it's just kind of there's 20, 25 people there, 30 people there to see you, and there's 100 others that are watching a game somewhere in a bar. Or it's very easy to get not jaded, but they kind of get, well, man, I don't know about this, but it's very important to keep those 20 people right there, their time and their money and their energy to come there and see you. So it's important to put that show on for them. And I think it's all part of the grind.
And, we're kind of chasing the same dream as y'all are, so we understand exactly where you're coming from because we want to be the Bobby Bones, the Ty Bentleys, the Kelly Clarkson shows down the road. And so we go through the ups and downs. It's like, you reach out to these different people and many turn you down and some say later. And because that's something I'm learning as we move higher up the ladder, so to speak, is that the bigger the artist or actor, the more timing matters. If they're not really promoting something, I've noticed they won't do interviews. Whereas, so this has been a whole new experience as we starting to rise and starting to get people like a Randy Travis on and, and Lee Brice and the bigger artists. And so it's been an interesting thing. So what has surprised you the most within this crazy journey of yours?
I think it's the fact that there are so many different paths in the same journey, if that makes sense. There's a lot of people that go. I was almost one of those people that moved to Nashville and had to go that route. And thankfully, timing was key in that one. And that's why I'm sitting here at Salt Creek Studios in Bennett's Point. But I think what surprised me the most is that in today's world, I'll never forget the day after I quit my full-time job, I got a call from a buddy of mine in Nashville, and he works for a particular guitar company that makes the best electric guitars, in my opinion. But he said, man, welcome to the music industry. And I was like, he said, just know, he said, I don't know what your idea of success is or making it big, but he said, there are so many artists out there that you'll never hear of that make a very successful living. And prior to COVID, I think that's what surprised me the most is that there's so many different avenues. There's a place for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you work hard and you stick to yourself and to your fans, then I think that's what surprised me the most is that, that's the beauty of music. Just do you and stay true to who you are and who you're following is.
And that's something that I think parents need to understand. They got kids that are 16, 17, 18, 19 years old who wants to pursue this. And, a lot of times parents will try to frown on this type of idea because I think a lot of times they see the Blake Sheltons and then they see their broke brother-in-law type person. And they don't realize that there's actually many levels in between those within music. That there are many people that are making 50, 60, 70, 100,000 a year, and you'll never hear their name.
Right, exactly. And they're very happy. And I think a lot of times what people don't understand too, I had a guy ask me yesterday, said, are you signed? And I was like, I'm not. He said, do you want to be? I said, honestly, no, I don't. I'm basically a moonwatcher artist down here, but as far as there's a whole lot more that people don't understand, at least from what I can gather, that when you get to that next level, it's like any business. You get a lot more than kind of like the lady said earlier about the interview you referred to, is that everybody gets a piece of you. So as long as you stay independent to an extent till it's time to grow, I think that there's definitely there's a lot to be said about being independent. So
That's like almost a year ago, or over a year ago. We interviewed Joe Kelly from CDX Nashville, and we talked about this. And he said, and he's in the distribution of music, so he sees it all, and he's been in it for years. And he was talking about how right in this day and time, because of the tools that artists have, there's no reason for an artist to go after a record label deal. Because he says if you do it too early, you just screwed yourself, even though you may not think you did. He goes, you do it right, you build that base, you build that big following. Now you can make your own way because you can say no. You're making this big good income, and a record label comes to you now, and if they don't go by your terms, well, guess what? You don't have to do it.
Exactly. And I'm old school, so I really don't like social media. Live shows is where our success stems from, which has really been hard this year. But it's still, I think that because of that, then it's catch-22 because I don't necessarily care for it, but at the same time, it's necessary. You got to have it. So
yeah. So now that we talked about that side of it, the tough side, let's talk about the other side of the glory side. What are a few moments where you're like, wow, I got to do that?
I tell you, we've been so blessed since day one of this thing, and it was growing like a wildfire prior to COVID happening. And again, like I said, I was doing it a year and 10 months when COVID hit in March last year. So it did not take long and every time that happens, and it's everywhere we go, no matter if it's somebody where there's 4 people that are there after the show that have never heard of us, they're like, man, when are you playing again? We sank a dock one time at Edisto, playing on the back of the sport field. It's just those nights right there that it's just, you feel it. And it's like, this thing's going to work and we're going to do it our way. Bring country back. Country ain't dead. And it's all
cool. You're up the street from us, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When we talked before, with us being in Savannah, I thought that was pretty cool.
We're the only 2 that don't have snow right now, I think.
Oh God, that's crazy. So you're going to perform your song for us, huh?
Absolutely. I certainly can. So right now we've got a single out called You Should See the Other Guy. I'm not going to play that song. That's on all streaming platforms. You want to play that, Selma? On all streaming platforms. And this next one right here is called Selma by Sundown. This is actually the title track to the album. My producer, Joe Taylor, wrote this, and this will be out March 19th.
Sounds good.
Driving my rig down from Bangor, Maine. It's cold up here and the pouring rain. There's miles to go. I've got you on my mind. I left you 10 long days ago. Run up north with a heavy load. I've been dead heavy. Bobtail and snow. Now see that old Empire State standing alone like she's lost her mate. I put the hammer down to get back to you. I'll be in Selma by sundown. I've been gone too long. I'll be in Selma by sundown and back to you by dawn. The whole world rolls out in front of me, and through this windshield I have seen 1,000 things that I don't understand. And you know best as I can tell, nothing's changed since Abel fell. Hear that days the same, such a lonesome tune, and a good old melody. Something about how you hit me are the only thing that ever makes sense to me. be in Selma by sundown and back to you by dawn. I'll be in Selma by sundown. Well, I've been gone too long. I'll be in Selma by sundown and back to you by dawn.
Love it.
I wish I had that song that was all Joe Taylor. And I heard that. I said, man, that's solid country gold. And we've got Gary Morris on pedal steel on that track. So I can't wait for y'all to hear that one March 19th.
Oh, wow. So as you know, a lot of people, they see the artists, but they don't see the teams behind them. And in my opinion, they don't get the love they deserve. So I always want to talk about the teams, because you can't do what you do if the team doesn't do what they do. So take a few moments just to tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Well, to be honest with you, you're looking at really half the team, and then there's the other half right there.
No respect and no love.
But in all seriousness, man, we're pretty much in house. But I'll tell you this: it started out. So Joe's my producer. We write a lot together. He's my guitar player on stage, and our band is a bunch of rock stars, man. I'm just very fortunate that I get to play in front of him. He also has a bus, so he drove the bus there for a while. He's kind of a manager, so he's got a bunch of different hats. Now, as this thing has grown very rapidly, good buddy of mine drives our bus. He actually drives a dump truck for NW White Trucking here, which is all over South Carolina. So he's our bus driver. I got a buddy of mine that sells our merch. And so really, when I say our team is our fans and family, I'm not lying about that. It's started out at shows that would surprise us. I mean, there's a handful of buddies that sell merch or help us load in and load out. I'll never forget, we played in Greensboro, North Carolina, and sound check, and I didn't know anybody. And I came off stage and I looked up, and there were 4 dudes walking in the parking lot, and they drove all the way from Goose Creek, South Carolina, to Winston-Salem. And they'd only seen shows of me playing, but ever since then, it's like wherever we go, that's who we got. Now that we've added some sponsors in there, that's really our team.
I love that.
It's we're in a unique situation, man. I'll be honest with you.
I love that. And we got a third co-host. I don't know.
See,
9-year-old boy. He's part of our team too. So he always asks 1 or 2 questions so he can.
Yeah. So hi, Interben. Beam. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food, man. I got to go with steak on that one.
And what's yours?
Pizza.
Pizza. Heard that. What kind of pizza?
A pepperoni sausage.
There you go.
And your next question?
All right. So what's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Ooh, I'd have to say Yellowstone right now. I'm ready for the next season to come around.
Well, everyone loves Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And what's yours?
SpongeBob.
Okay, that's been around for a long time. I remember watching that when I was your age.
And it's still around.
It's still around, yeah. Everybody.
What's been cool is he watches a lot of Nickelodeon shows. And because of our show, because we're not just a music show anymore, we're an entertainment interview show, we've actually been able to bring on a handful of actor and actresses that are on his shows onto our show.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
So he's been able to talk to some people he looked up to from his shows. So,
that's cool.
Bye, thanks.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, he loves that part. We've got a almost 24-month, almost a 2-year-old little daughter. She'll be 2 the 27th of this month. When she gets older, we'll be plugging her in the show too, because we are a family affair.
Yeah, I like that, man. That's how you got to roll. It's a big support group everywhere, and I know my producer follows y'all. I'll follow y'all when I get off here, and spread the word as well.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. So, if you could co-write with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Well, considering I got compared to saying I was as country as the dirt in Johnny Cash's grave yesterday, I think I'll stray away from that one. I got asked that question yesterday, and my response yesterday was Ray Fulcher. But I got thinking about it too. I'd really like to write with Riley Green, and I feel like we kind of run the same circles, have the same lifestyle, hunt and fish. So I think as far as a real country aspect of things, the way it should be, because it's not like we're making songs up. I mean, you can tell they genuinely lives a lifestyle. And all I do is hunt and fish. I think that'd be a pretty good combo.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, I don't have that, but I figured I'd rock that '90s look too for the interview.
So there'll probably be 1,000 answers to this, but just think of the first thing that pops in your head. What's a song you've heard that you wish you wrote?
Selma by Sundown. The one I just played. I'm telling you, that one hits. That it's hook, line, sinker gone. I'm trying to think of one I wish I had written. I don't know. I mean, I'm constantly.
There's so many.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally so many. But I could honestly say that that's the first thing that came to my mind was the one that we got coming out next. And I say that because I'm cutting it, but man, I take a lot of pride that I write almost all the songs on the record, but like two, and they're probably the two best songs on the record that I did not write.
Oh wow!
In all seriousness,
love that, right? So basically, when you pick a song that you didn't write, it's got to be top notch.
Got to be top notch. Got to feel it.
Yeah, because you got to make it your own. That's one thing that a lot of people don't get is there are artists and then there are artists, and any artist can sing a cover, but it's the artist that can make that song their own, where it's like they live that song, and that's a difference maker.
Absolutely, it is. And even bringing your songs live, a lot of people say the same things. I can cover the heck out of a lot of stuff, but I like the fact that people can tell, even if they've never heard a song, say we have a song we wrote, we're experimenting with on stage. People are like, "You wrote that, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Well, how you know?" And they're like, the way you drive your songs into the crowd is just awesome." So
I love that. So this month made the 6-year anniversary that we asked Kelsea Ballerini where she wanted to be in 5 years. And I always like to tell this story before I ask the guest that same question, because the answer she gave us within 5 years, she was pretty much living it. I mean, it was amazing to watch that when, we had her on an old show that we did back in 2014-15 era. And what she said then came to pass. So knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Well, at this rate, I hope we're back playing concerts in 5 years. But minus that, I would say I want to be rubbing elbows with them big guns, man. I want to be on, touring national headline acts, whether it's, going all over the place. I mean, take it to the top. At that point in time, I think we'll be, definitely have some songs on the chart. Especially taking our traditional sound, I think we have a big mainstream appeal. And trying to break into that's going to be, the first thing. But I think once that happens, it's just going to roll, and our fans are going to take us there, and the wildfire is going to catch on. So I would say in 5 years, we'll be having the same conversation that you just had about Kelsea Ballerini. And
love that. So let's look 15 years down the road now. Let's say that you become a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you're there. If the person you are today could meet your future successful self, what would you want to remind him?
Honestly, about the people who got us to where we are. And, everybody says that, but I feel like I take that to heart. Whether it's sponsors or close friends of ours, I want to 15 years, and I don't forget about anybody. And to an extent, I think it's important to keep that real close group tight and together the whole time, because that's what's important. But I want to be standing there or sitting there on the back porch of the Edisto Beach House with a couple buddies of mine, cheers and going, man, thank y'all. Except to be my house, then hey, we're doing the celebrate the closing of a beach house or something like that, and have everybody out there and say, hey, you remember when? Remember when we were on the back of the boat and we sunk the dock 15 years ago? But to be honest with you, that musicians don't retire. I think we love what we do so much, so you just keep on trucking. But I think that's important to don't forget where you came from.
Because you probably want to sing the night before, perform that you die. That way you live your passion all the way to your deathbed.
Absolutely. Yeah, or hunting and fishing, one or two. But yeah.
Yeah, because we would love for this show to be a 30, 40, 50-year show and be one of those shows where, we're doing it at 90 years old right up to the day we die.
Absolutely. And I think that's the important thing, no matter what you do in life. If you're not that passionate about anything, whether it's, I mean, whatever line of work. If you're a salesman or you're a guitar player or whatever, I think that you should be that passionate about it or go find something else to do.
Yeah, because I remember I asked a motivational speaker who spoke in front of 20,000+ people one time. This was years ago. Does he still get butterflies and nervous before he gets on that stage? And he says he always gets butterflies. He says the day I don't get butterflies will be the day I quit because I have their hearts in my hands. He says if I can't get up there and be passionate about it the same way I've always been, then I don't need to be on that stage.
I agree with that. Maybe not necessarily the butterflies, just the feeling of wanting to do it. You know, if I don't feel like I don't want to go out there and play, and that doesn't happen. And everybody, you know, I hang out with everybody now, and my buddies, oh man, you know, we're never gonna make you break a guitar out, and we're just sitting around hanging out. And I said, man, look, you gotta understand me. Yes, I do it for a living, but I also love what I do. So I have no problem as long as I don't have a show, you know, in between shows. I'm trying to save my voice or something. I mean, I'm down to have a good time and keep the party going.
And very few people can say that what they do for a living and what they love to do are the same. And if you can find a way to do that, you can build such a great life.
Living the dream, man.
So as we come to a close here, let's say as the last question, let's say you had a friend of yours and you heard him or her sing, and let's say they've got something special. As Simon Cowell would say, that it factor. They've played, but they've only played maybe 40 or 50 shows, so they're still getting their feet wet on that side of it. Now, this would be pre-COVID advice, so keep that in mind. But they've gotten on stage and they got what every artist says, that stage bug, where they look over the crowd's roaring, and they just know they're in the right place. And they come to you and they say, Andrew, I know I'm supposed to do this with the rest of my life. What advice would you give that specific person to help guide them the next couple of years?
Chase it. I mean, devote everything to it. And if I had that happen, I would help that person. I'd promote them because I want everybody to succeed. And there's nothing better than watching somebody chasing their dream, and especially if they're at that level. I mean, it's you got to do it. And I've got a couple buddies that sing, and I actually recently I had a conversation with somebody who told me, he said, man, yeah, I got a gig at the local bar and I'm just doing it for fun. You know, I don't want to take it big. I said, well, that's where I was at one point in time. And I said, if that ever changes, man, I was like, do it. You know, I mean, that's the biggest thing with a lot of people. And that's, again, outside of music is, you know, chase your dream, just do it. Because if you don't do it, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what would happen.
Yeah, because that was always my biggest fear. You know, Sandy and I have been married 18 years, and we've probably failed at 100 different business ideas. But I've been the type person that, you know what, I'm gonna try until I find that thing. Because my fear is to go to my deathbed wondering what if. I can't live life that way. You know, there's so much to life, and yes, I may fail, but I would rather fail trying than succeeding at something I'm not passionate about.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
So as we come to a close here, tell everybody how they can find you.
So you can look up the music on all digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Music under Andrew Beam. Follow us on Instagram under Beam Country. That's Beam like the whiskey, country like the music. Also on Facebook, and actually just started a TikTok, as much as I hate to say it today. So if y'all want to be like the first single-digit followers on TikTok, come on. It's Beam Country. I got one video up there right now, but everybody's been begging me to start that, so I kind of caved in today finally. But and then we got a new single out, got another one dropping March 19th, and got the album coming out April 16th. And then hopefully after that, we're going to Texas as soon as we can. We got to hit the road and start playing again, just along with everybody else.
Going to that Texas country.
I can't wait. I mean,
love it. You know, we really enjoyed having you on the show today. We definitely look forward for updates and down the road for you to come back.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us out here, and I'm going to spread the word on y'all as well. So I hope y'all
listen.
Savannah.
You have a great day.